Time for an update on the Nazca mummies. So get in here, guys. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, here's an update from Jaime Maussan. I'm going to mute my head so you can read the subtitles, but here he goes.
¿Cómo están, amigos? Pues un domingo más y pues regresando de Perú, habrá grandes noticias. El próximo 12 de marzo, para que ahora sí lo apunten, se va a dar una conferencia de prensa en la ciudad de Los Ángeles, muy posiblemente en Beverly Hills, donde pues se van a dar a conocer las últimas noticias de lo que está pasando con los cuerpos tridáctilos que fueron encontrados en Nazca. Y de esta manera, pues, seguir avanzando en la investigación. Está muy lejos de haber terminado. Hay nuevos especímenes, se van a mostrar al menos 2 de ellos, realmente espectaculares, el próximo 12 de marzo. Y el 4 de abril, se realizará una segunda conferencia. Ahora se va a realizar en la ciudad de Lima, en Lima, Perú, donde se presentarán nuevos especímenes y más información sobre todo lo que está ocurriendo. No voy a dar más detalles porque también hay algunos aspectos que se están ya presentando. No quiero dar información, ojalá y me entiendan, pero muy pronto todo lo van a saber. Muy pronto será del dominio público.
So there you go, guys. Very exciting update from Jaime. There's going to be a actual hearing or a press conference in possibly Beverly Hills. So I'm really excited about this. This should get a lot of attention from the United States and the Western world on the Nazca mummies. I don't think they're going to be presenting the new bodies there. It sounds like that's going to happen in Peru. It's probably hard to get those bodies out of the country. We know they've had to resort to smuggling them out, or at least that's by appearances. So, but either way, I'm enormously excited for the Western world to get galvanized by the Nazca mummies, because this is UFO disclosure, guys. But it's only disclosure if people pay attention. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody is there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, let's make it sound, guys. Let's make it sound. Enormously excited for the new bodies that are going to be unveiled in Peru. Are we going to get the giants? Is that what's going to be unveiled to us? Are we going to get more of the gray type being that we've seen teased before? Because they're going to be new specimens, right? It's not going to be the little guys that we're familiar with or the ones like Maria that we're familiar with. But either way, whatever comes down the pike, I can't wait. In other Nazca mummy news, possibly related, at a Russian military installation where uranium ores were stored during the 80s, several tridactyl footprints were left. And indeed, you can see the footprints. Look at that. Look at that. Now, that doesn't have to be from a tridactyl. It looks like it's got this other little appendage there that you don't see with the tridactyls, I don't believe. But very intriguing nonetheless. Here's a news video, a news segment from back in the day that gives a little more information about that incident and some surrounding incidents, because apparently there was a rash of UFOs in Russia during that time. A flap. And the weird footprints were only one incident in a series of incidents. So what was going on there? I wish I knew. Is it in any way related to the Nazca mummies? Again, unclear, but it was really interesting that it does have this 3-toed imprint. But something's going on in Peru and has been going on for a long time. The mummies are thousands of years old, but there was other stuff going on as well, maybe or maybe not related. This is from the debrief. Ancient megalithic structure older than the Egyptian pyramids discovered in the Peruvian Andes. A team of anthropologists from the University of Wyoming and the University of California, Santa Barbara, has discovered an ancient megalithic structure in the Peruvian Andes that is older than the Great Pyramids of ancient Egypt. Dated to around 2750 BC using radiocarbon dating techniques, the circular stone plaza was built using massive vertical stones placed in upright positions. The construction method is similar to other ancient sites from the ancient world, like Stonehenge, which is approximately the same age as the newly discovered stone plaza. However, the researchers say it is a construction style previously unseen in the Andes. So did a different civilization build this structure? Maybe one that had a connection with beings of higher learning? Again, who knows? But, very suggestive. Plenty of other stuff was going on in South America in the ancient world as well. The ancient mummies from Chile. This is, really interesting. When you hear the word mummy, you bet your mind goes straight to the Egyptian mummies. But the oldest mummies belongs to the Chinchorro people of Chile's Atacama Desert, who mummified their dead 7,000 years ago. And you might recognize that word Atacama from the very interesting specimen brought to Gary Nolan. He debunked that specimen, but many aren't satisfied by that debunking, myself included. But yeah, I'll let you read the rest of the article at your leisure, but really interesting that they were building megalithic structures. They were mummifying their dead. All very fascinating and, again, very suggestive. But, of course, not all contact in South America is pleasant. Here's an article from anomalien.com. Missing policeman found in shock and claims he was abducted by aliens. Yes, this is a really scary story. A mysterious story happened in Argentina near the city of General Pico in March 2006 with 30-year-old one policeman Luis Sergio Pacheta with the rank of corporal. He was on patrol when a comrade asked him to cover part of his jurisdiction on his day off. He began patrolling at 7:30 p.m., and there was a strange glow in the woods. He thought it was poachers, but it wasn't poachers. And he had this terrifying incident. He was missing. They went out looking for him, and then they found him in an area where they had previously searched, much like the missing 411 incidents. But he was alive, but he was in shock and traumatized. So traumatized that he actually quit the force, or actually was fired from the force because he couldn't show up. He remembers a few things from being taken and what he was shown by the beings. He says he remembered something like, I felt like I was inside my mother's belly, and then I started remembering things from my childhood. It was like my life in slow motion. I don't know how long it lasted. Almost seems like he had some sort of a life review like people have in a near-death experiences, although this one was very unpleasant, unfortunately. They detected burns on his feet with blisters and small dots in between, lasting for some time. He insisted on being taken to a dark room because the light caused him intense pain. Some scary stuff going on in South America. The phenomenon that is occurring there's some really good stuff and some positive stuff that has occurred there, but also a lot of scary stuff as well occurring probably in the past and still occurring today. But there are many, many mysteries of the ancient world in South America. Very ancient, in fact. Stunning rock art site reveals that humans settled the Colombian Amazon 13,000 years ago. And this is the rock art found at the Serranía de la Lindosa, an archaeological site on the northern edge of the Colombian Amazon. Fascinating stuff, guys. The human settlement goes back a long way there. Meanwhile, research continues on the Nazca mummies. The anatomy, the furcula, is more prominent on the male specimens than the female specimens. What is a furcula? The union of clavicles is called a furcula. This characteristic is present in these specimens. theropods, extinct dinosaurs, and their descendants with this similar structure where both clavicles are fused to form a single bone. So they have elements of theropods. They also have hollow bones, some of them. So, they have scaly skin, they've got eggs, very reptilian or even dinosaur-like. What are theropods? Well, these guys. Those are theropods, like the T-Rex, the two-legged, upright, three-toed dinosaurs that still exist today in the form of birds. Those are theropods. So could the Nazca mummies be related in some way to these creatures? Or are they entirely created elsewhere? And could any of this be connected to a subterranean city of serpent people? We've just talked about the reptilian aspects of these beings. Well, local legends talk about serpents a lot. Serpent mythology comes up a lot in that part of the world, and serpent motifs, like we're seeing here in this cave or this structure. Now these guys are trying to drum up tours. This is a trailer for their tourism business, but that's not to say there's not something there. The Amaru, whatever, the city of snakes. And this is really interesting. There's some sort of shaft that goes down. And when you uncover this rock and put the cocoa leaves over it, you can see how the air comes out of the shaft. Very, very fascinating. I'd be tempted to take a tour. I'm very curious to know more about the City of Serpents, and if the mythology surrounding that has anything to do with the Nazca mummies or associated beings. Obviously, serpent mythology, like I said, comes up a lot in South America, around the world, really, but especially in South America. There's the feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, from Aztec culture, and many others. Speaking of the Amaru, we just talked about the City of the Serpents and that you may have seen the word Amaru. In the mythology of Andean civilizations of South America, the Amaru or Katari is a mythical serpent or dragon. In Inca mythology, Amaru is a huge double-breasted serpent that dwells underground at the bottom of lakes and rivers. Very interesting. Now, of course, if there were non-human beings interacting with the peoples of South America in ancient times, it might be important to keep in mind that not all of those cultures were like super positive cultures. They almost all practiced human sacrifice. Not great. Not great. Now, it is maybe important to keep in mind that Quetzalcoatl, the god, was opposed to human sacrifice. It's also weird that some gods, like Quetzalcoatl, are depicted not simply as serpents, but as white guys with beards. That's just so weird how that, seems to be a thing. Of course, not all of them had beards. Viracocha did not have a beard, according to pictures like this. And he created the universe, sun, moon, and stars, and in time by commanding the sun to move over the sky and civilization itself. Viracocha was worshipped as god of the sun and of storms. He was represented as wearing the sun for a crown, with thunderbolts in his hands and tears descending from his eyes as rain. He was described as a man of medium height, white, and dressed in white robe like an alb secured around the waist, that he carried a staff and his book in his hands. Now, many people think that Quetzalcoatl may have been an Atlantean, and that he may have, the civilization bringer, the myth of the Atlantean civilization bringer, Graham Hancock comes up or speaks about this a lot and has talked about many examples from various mythologies around the world of a mysterious figure showing up over the sea, bringing civilization. And, many people think, those mythologies point to survivors of Atlantis coming to, spread civilization from their vanished culture. Of course, they don't, were the Atlanteans white? If you listen to Bashar, if you're familiar with the channeled entity Bashar, he says that the Atlanteans were brown-skinned. So that wouldn't apply. But other accounts differ and claim the Atlanteans look more Grecian. So if Quetzalcoatl wasn't an Atlantean, and he may well have been an Atlantean, could he have been a Viking? We know the Vikings were over there, but they seem to have been at a much later period in time. So I don't think it was the Vikings. But where else would they have learned of men with full beards, right? How would they have gotten that idea? Well, one idea might be the Paracas beings, the elongated skull people of Paracas, which, as you can see, they had red hair. Some of them, and DNA tests show that in the one DNA test that I looked at, the DNA had degraded to a point where they couldn't tell where one of the parents came from, but the other parent came from Scotland, hence the red hair. So could they have had beards? Could this idea of bearded individuals with high knowledge not have come from Atlantis? But come from the Paracas elongated skull people, whoever they were. But these figures almost look more Asian to me. He's got kind of slanted eyes. Even the way their beards are shaped, to me, might look a little bit more Asian. Obviously, no elongated skulls in these figures. Maybe the people, making these sculptures didn't have access to the real people and didn't know they were elongated skull people, or maybe they simply weren't elongated skull people and they were just regular humans. Well, have Asians ever gone to the Americas in the ancient times? There is some talk about that, right? There is some talk about that. Did China discover America? This map claims that Columbus was beaten to it by a Chinese Muslim, but is it real? In 1405, a Chinese Muslim eunuch, Jing He, launched the first of 7 voyages west from China across the Indian Ocean. Over the next 30 years, in command of the world's largest fleet and funded by the Ming Emperor, he sailed to the east coast of Africa and deep into the Persian Gulf. That much we know is true, but some people believe he went much further, and this map is one reason. Entitled General Chart of the Integrated World, it is apparently an 18th century copy of a 1418 map, which claims to show the world that Jing He discovered. And that was the Americas, as you can clearly see. Now, this is heavily debated, and some people think this has been debunked, and maybe it has. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. Obviously, again, this would have been much later on in the timeline. But could they have, could the Chinese or people from Asia come to the Americas before then? Might they have been considered white or light-skinned by the peoples of that area? Entirely possible, guys. Just let me know what your favorite theory explaining some of the mysteries of South America and Central America are in the comments below. I wish I had some answers, but the mysteries are certainly tantalizing and intriguing. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in an even bigger way, grab a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I appreciate you guys' support. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.